Howdy folks, it is Scanner here. In this video I'm going to talk about that NDA from Games Workshop and I'm going to give some of my thoughts on it. I'm also going to link you to 3 good videos in the description below that I believe will give you a pretty good idea as to what is going on. One is by Auspex Tactics, who makes really good videos about Games Workshop and the hobby and stuff. Another one is from Hoig Law, who does a virtual legality series. They did a video about this particular NDA, which is very good. Even though they are not a English practicing lawyer, they still have some great insights into some of the language used within. And then the third video is from Discourse, who does great videos overall about Games Workshop and the hobby, and she also has legal experience and is based within the UK, making her insights really valuable too. For my point of view, my insights come simply from somebody who has signed a lot of NDAs in the course of my life, or dealt with a lot of NDAs over the course of my various careers, or being subject to endless almost NDAs as part of my current job, from companies who deal with the type of money that would make Games Workshop blush. So I have a good idea as to what the standard level of kind of, harshness, I guess, of these NDAs can be. And I just want to talk a little bit about Games Workshop's NDA and why I find it so interesting. I'm not going to break it down. I'm not going to do any of that. The video is linked in the description below. We'll do a great job of doing that. I want to draw a comparison to the last time really I remember a company going after this kind of a tactic. And I don't mean the tactic of an NDA. I mean the tactic of trying to corral smaller channels together into like a stable almost. And we're going to go into the Wayback Machine, something which I dealt with prolifically on the channel back when my hobby was to make Battlefield YouTubers hate me. One of the things that I spoke about quite a bit, and I also made some viewers hate me for this one, was EA's Ronku program. Way back in the day, the EA Game Changer program, as it's known now, which is basically the usual influencer shenanigans that you're used to from companies all over the world in all kinds of industries now with regards to YouTubers. EA set up Ronku as a means of dealing with influencers. One of the common things that they would do is they would have them sign a contract which would make them do 3 videos about any upcoming game, and it became a bit of a meme that Ronku YouTubers would have like 3 videos on something talking about how great it was, and then the content would ultimately disappear off their channel. And the reason that it would do, by and large, it wasn't anything untoward on the behalf of the YouTuber, but it's simply a fact of their main game was what was paying the bills, not whatever it was that EA were temporarily paying them to put on their channel, like be it The Sims or Titanfall or something like that. They would always scurry on back to Battlefield to make their money, and who can blame them really at the end of the day. So one of the things that I highlighted way back when, and nobody really believed me, but did actually turn out to be 100% true, is that EA were cleverly using it as a means to establish smaller channels as being brand friendly, and then building them up, developing a strong parasocial relationship with the YouTubers involved, and oftentimes helping effectively sponsoring channels from having about 10,000 subs up to 100,000 subs. Numerous small channels were brought into the fold via Ronku, sub 10k channels at the time, and those channels were developed and assisted and aided by EA through access. Simply having exclusive gameplays and access to pre-release news and things like that would obviously make their channel a hotbed for the hobby. That was Battlefield 4, I guess, and people would sign up and sub, and it was a great way to grow your channel if you were invited into the program, if you were a smaller channel. What it would also do is set up a strange power imbalance between you and EA, and this started to come to fruition even for the bigger channels some years down the line, when they might feel something negative about the game or express themselves in a strange way, and would then be publicly at times taken to task by members of the EA family or the developers of the game. And they would, like, there was occasions where they were explicitly publicly told that their true feelings about a piece of content or DLC or something like that was not appreciated. So for me, from everything I have read about this NDA, from everything I have learned on the sly about this NDA, and from making a couple of assumptions about this NDA, that is what it appears to be that Games Workshop are trying to do. This NDA is not being aimed at large established channels, because Games Workshop cannot exercise that type of control over them. Plus, they do not need. This is an important thing that these big channels aren't talking about, but I'm going to, and I'm once again going to probably make people within the hobby that I like that dislike me, but that's just what I seem to do. Games Workshop don't need to do that to these channels. They don't need to control these channels. These channels control themselves through their utter reliance on Games Workshop to exist. We're going to talk about more about that in a moment. But the NDA, by all intents and purposes, seems to be aimed at newer channels. You sign up for it. The company Games Workshop will begin to send you items and stuff for pre-release. You won't be allowed to talk about it until release, and then after release you need to be reasonably positive about it to the point of not damaging Games Workshop's image, and it renews basically every time they send you something. This was pointed out by the Hoag's Law video, that it auto renews upon receipt of new items each time, so they can just kind of perpetually keep you trapped in this NDA, which is certainly extremely worrying and a good indicator that nobody should sign the goddamn NDA. But it seems to be set up to establish control and a parasocial relationship with these channels. You're a small YouTuber, you're contacted by Games Workshop, we'd like to send you a box of our upcoming box set. And maybe as a small YouTuber, you're not making a huge amount of money, you're not getting sponsorship deals, you're not getting 100,000 views per video, you're just kind of supplementing at best your hobby expenditures. So you sign up and you think, yeah, man, a free copy of X box game that's coming up, that's going to save me 150 to 200 bucks depending on your region. Sounds good. And then they're going to send me all the effective expansions for it, and they might send me some Tau Riptides too if I'm really good. Wow. So people sign up and they're super eager and they get their free stuff, and their channel grows because they're getting the early access. Games Workshop, all these companies are smart. This is the trap for the older YouTubers. They fell into this a long time ago. Many of them did, and you'll see them coming out now being all worried and stuff, but not quite admitting that they too are completely under the thumb of Games Workshop via another kind of mechanic, which is simple scale. Games Workshop are the biggest company in the hobby. Games Workshop, for a huge amount of people, are the hobby. Watch channels that do videos that aren't Games Workshop, and then watch the views on the Games Workshop stuff that they do. There's channels out there that are 100% dedicated to just making negative videos about Games Workshop. That's literally their entire deal. And the reason that they do that is because those negative videos about Games Workshop, even though they're negative, will still get vastly more views than if they were positive about something that they liked. If they really wanted to just walk away from Games Workshop as a source and subject, they could do that, but their channel would die. Once again, it's not something people are reasonably comfortable admitting. I'm more than happy to talk about it, because even in my early experiments, I've just changed this channel over to being a hobby channel from its previous incarnation of being a video game related channel. And even in my own early experiments, anything that is explicitly about Games Workshop will do well. Anything that's potentially negative about Games Workshop could do better. So that's the trap. If you're talking about this NDA in a negative light, you're very smart to do so. It's not a good NDA from what we have seen. If you are talking about this NDA in a negative light whilst also repeatedly doing endless videos about Games Workshop and Games Workshop products, the NDA really isn't aimed at you. You're already in the trap. You're already trapped by Games Workshop, and Games Workshop is hugely aware of this, that if you go off and do a video about any other game, you're simply not going to get the views, it's not going to have the interest, and you will be back to Games Workshop. And whether you are negative or positive about them, that's what a lot of these people don't seem to grasp either. It's all a win for Games Workshop, because whilst it's not the best thing in the world to have a negative video go up about you, like, Games Workshop won't be enthused about all these NDA videos that, you know, we in the scene are currently making, but they're going to be very happy about the fact that we're not making videos about something else. We're not promoting their competition. We are not smattering our various sized audiences with alternatives to Games Workshop. That's where they're going to be extremely happy. And the reason we're not doing that is because of money. It's because there's more views in being negative about Games Workshop than there is in being positive about something like Marvel Crisis Protocol or Infinity or Conquest, and so shall it remain for as long as we continue to do that. It kind of sucks, but that's just the way it is. I'm not saying that as a knock on anybody. I am going to point this out. I'm not saying that YouTubers are wrong to do negative content on Games Workshop. Of course they're not wrong. And there's a huge amount of bad things that Games Workshop do. And especially over recent months, there's mountains of things that we can complain about with regards to Games Workshop. And they're all extremely valid. But we do need, I believe, to take a little bit of responsibility in how we kind of dedicate so much space and so much mind share to Games Workshop just so that we can complain about them. And the reason that we do that is because we know it's going to get more views than if we talk positively about a smaller game, and that's a shame. It's why I love channels like Guerrilla Miniatures. They do so much varied content. I find them to be very inspiring. And while I haven't even come close to hitting a stride for what kind of content I want to go up on the channel yet, and I probably won't for about a year until my new job settles down, I figure out exactly how much time I have to dedicate to the hobby, I figure out exactly what I want to do with regards to the channel, etc. I would adore if I had the bravery of that channel to do such a broad variety of subjects. That would be something that would make me immensely happy. But will I do that? Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, there you go. That's all I want to say. The NDA is certainly sketchy. You have my thoughts. You know why I think Games Workshop are doing it. It's just about they're gonna snatch up some smaller channels and grow them to be kind of subservient influencers, and I do feel bad for the people who fall into that trap, because it's happened before, as I've pointed out, in other areas and other industries, and not just with EA as I described it, but across a huge variety of different sectors on YouTube. This has happened. It's par for the course now. You need to be careful and you need to be on guard for this kind of behavior. But that's it, guys, for my rambling. I hope you somewhat enjoyed this stupid video. If you watched all the way to the end, thanks very much. Be sure to check out the channels below and make sure you check out Discourse for sure. Her channel is fantastic. So that's it, guys. All the best.